Oh, look who's been studying my portfolio video. Absolutely. Hello world, welcome to another character design portfolio review with yours truly, Jackie. And how am I qualified to tell you what to do with your portfolio? Well, not only have I worked for Netflix, Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, etc., I am officially employed by Disney, starting sometime last week. It's nice to be employed after not being employed for half a year. Also, can you believe I got 100,000 subscribers on YouTube? I did not think that that was even possible for my channel. And hopefully I'll get the little play button in the mail. And that'll be cool. So on my Patreon, I have a tier where I have portfolio reviews / critiques. So I have a few portfolio reviews this month. Maybe I'll make 2 videos out of it. But first come, first serve, let's look at some portfolios. And this video is sponsored by Tears of Themis, but more on that later. Okay, let's start with Esther's portfolio. So I finished uni recently with a degree in animation and has worked as an animator so far, but I'd like to move towards design, especially character design. At the moment, I'm aiming at animation studios, as those are the ones I know about. Things I'm unsure if I should include: basic turnaround, simple animation of the character, and overall if it's a good idea to try to pitch my styles. First of all, basic turnarounds, that could be helpful. Let's see how we can incorporate that. Simple animation of the character, nah. If you are going to be a character designer, they're not going to get you to animate. Character design and animation rarely goes hand in hand. The only time they really intersect is if you're doing special poses for a character that you need to do in the animation program. Overall, if it's a good idea to pitch my styles. That's a good question. Let's answer that question as we go through your portfolio. So first, we have a Blogspot. That's fine. You don't need a fancy portfolio website to make a portfolio. Character design portfolio 2023. We see exactly what you're aiming for and the year, so we know it's updated. I would also put your name here. I know your name's up there, but let's put it all in one line of information while we're there. I see you have your resume, which is terrific. Maybe that could be at the end though, because you know we want to punch and really show off your artwork. And then when people see your artwork and they get to the very end, then they see your resume. Right away, looking at your portfolio, you have a lot of work and you have a lot of gorgeous work. Let's try to tailor it a little more towards animation, because I know you worked for clothing brands, drawing mascots with clothing and stuff. Animation, I feel like you'd need to approach your portfolio a little bit differently. So let's see how we can do that. Before I actually talk about your artwork, I want to see at the bottom of each page on your portfolio your name and your email. And I say this in literally every portfolio video I make, but sometimes things get lost on the internet. Sometimes one of these pages are going to end up on Pinterest, or they're sent from director to director and your name's not attached. How are people going to know it's yours? So just make sure that your name's attached to everything. So you have a lot of really cool work. I would like to see how these projects connect with each other a little bit better. You have so many individual ideas. Animation and character design is really about storytelling. So what story can we get from these pages? There's a lot going on this page. You can split it up into smaller groups. You know, the few images of them interacting, maybe on different scales, maybe one's smaller, maybe one's bigger. And then take these individual characters out and flesh them out differently. So this character is all on one page, that character is on the other page. So this is obviously such a janky example, but you know, you have a few expressions, you have a few poses, and you have a few exploration, maybe even a reference image or 2, just to show the thought behind your character. And correct me if I'm wrong, this seems like these 3 images go really well together. Like it looks like we're kind of in a pirate world. You know, maybe this is the villain with his little henchmen. These are the 2 main characters, and these are kind of other henchmen characters. So first, what I would do with any project is I would make a lineup, and you'd have your main character, maybe it's this character. You'd have, you know, maybe the love interest or the sidekick, which is this character. Maybe she's shorter. You'd have your main villain, you'd have these funny little henchmen, and then you have these other funny characters that you drew down here. That's your first page. Second page is what I said earlier. You'd pull out your main characters and you'd show some exploration, some expressions. So maybe you'd pull out this character, you'd have expressions, you'd have some poses. Maybe for this character, because you've already done expressions, maybe you could have a little bit of a turnaround. I don't usually condone turnarounds. I think that if you can show really cool poses, then you don't need to show a turnaround. But if it's also your very first job you're looking for, it doesn't hurt to show something technical. So you can show a turnaround a little smaller, you can show some exploration designs of this character, and then on the side you have the final character nice and big. Maybe your last page is poses of your main villain, and then a few exploration pieces. And then you can have just a huge page of all of your henchmen and villains and all the exploration that went into that. Directors want to see how you work and how your thought process is, because they want to know that they can work with you and that you'll be able to take feedback and apply it properly. If they see a piece that's already finished, they don't know your thought process and if you work well together. And finally, if all three of these are from the same project, I would create like a little logo or a title and keep them all in the corner. Whoever's looking through this portfolio knows that these are all from the same project. Right now, your portfolio seems like a lot of really small individual projects. What we're looking for in a character design portfolio is less projects, but more intentional thought behind those projects. But I see you have so much artwork, and in order to create less work for yourself, what I would do is I would take out some of these pieces. I'd combine some of these pieces, so what can be related? This piece has a lot of what we're looking for in a character design portfolio. We're having different costumes, clearly the same character. We have different poses. What I'd like to see as well is different expressions. And if this character is a monotone character, you can have that, but make sure your other characters contrast that, so whoever's looking at your portfolio knows that you know how to do it. So let's say this is another lineup that you're gonna make. You're gonna make it with this character here and a couple other characters that you would see in high school. So maybe this is like an emo group at school. So we have this character, we have this funny character, maybe this is the funny couple that they're friends with. Try to combine them together. And what I would do is I would take your favorite character and I would show more exploration of it. So what are the phases that you had before you got to this final drawing? Maybe she started with different shapes, but you can tell it's clearly the same character. Maybe she had different body proportions. Maybe she had different skin color or different hair types. And like I said, you don't have to color them, you don't have to clean them. Create sketches. I also want to see more characters interacting with each other. So when you're going back and trying to really condense your portfolio, I would keep this, but I'd also clearly flesh out their personalities. Maybe one of them is this sad emo type character and the other one's more excited, to show some contrast, to really show interest in these characters. Animation's all about storytelling, so make sure to really emphasize the story. So overall, your portfolio is really beautiful. I would really consider condensing this, adding things to the same pages, combining things, trying to come up with a story. Also focusing on different expressions, different types of poses. I see you have a lot of poses and they're all very editorial. Consider making more energetic and animated type poses. Maybe a running pose, maybe a jumping pose, maybe something a little more active. In terms of style, I think your range is pretty strong. Like right here, we have something really cartoony and cute, and then it's offset immediately by something a little more realistic proportions. So I wouldn't worry too much about should you be expanding your style, because you can clearly adapt to the style that you will be on for the project. So condense, give some of these pieces a little more energy, combine some stories, add more storytelling, add your name and email to the pieces. Take out the pieces that are really similar to one another, or combine them. If it's not saying anything new, then you don't need to show it. For example, these tigers, that's telling you something new. We haven't seen something like that in your portfolio. These bugs are new. We haven't seen this really cartoony and bug style. But then maybe you would take out this frog image. I also think the bugs are just stronger piece in general. So great work. I love it. You're gonna do great things. Good job. Good luck. Now, if you're watching this video, chances are you love art and anime. So before we head into the second part of the portfolio review, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Tears of Themis. New cards have been released for the new Butterfly Kisses event and have been available on February 14th, so check out these hotties. You can collect these new Valentine themed cards this month. And while we're at these close-ups, check out the light fall off and bloom of these illustrations. I love the lighting in these pieces, and if you're going to study artwork to get better, then take a look at how these artists render skin and lighting. But I am getting ahead of myself. Take a look at these men. If I had to go for one of these guys, it would definitely be the next one after this. Take a look. Okay, this one right here. And yes, I'm basing it on the turtleneck alone, because yes, I'm a sucker for turtlenecks 24/7. The event has been available since February 14th. Take a look, download the app, and join now. So what's Tears of Themis? It's a romance game developed by Hoyoverse, same company that brought you Genshin. Mystery and romance, what else could you possibly want in a game? Go through main stories to explore what's happening in Stelis City and uncover the truth behind weird, violent incidents. collect evidence, reveal hidden details via interrogation of NPCs and inspection, gather physical evidence from the crime scene in 3D, cross-examine and connect clues to uncover the truth. After you gather all the evidence, you must carefully choose the evidence to grant justice in court trial. The really cool thing is that every episode is a separate story, but all the stories all come together to find hidden truth of the abnormality of Stella City. Well, actually, I think the coolest thing is you get to romance 4 unique characters through stories and video messages, play rock, paper, scissors, and card games to win their love. But seriously, I'm quite impressed with the level of detail and quality of these illustrations. I wouldn't find anything to critique. So join the Butterfly Kisses event through the link in my description. Next up, we have Sasha May. Sasha is a freelance illustrator. Character design and character-based illustrations probably the thing I enjoy most and would like to land a job or 2 in that department. I checked out your awesome YouTube video on how to build a character design portfolio and just wanted to know what you think. What to add, what to improve, what to leave out. So right off the bat, portfolio is nice. It's clean. First page has the drawings that we're looking for. We could see illustration, another tab, character design, about, contact. Okay, imprint. I don't think you need this page unless this is from the website that won't let you remove it. I think that your about and contact can be merged. You know, having less tabs as possible is always best. I think it wouldn't hurt to have your resume linked on this page. So in About Me, you also have contact information on the bottom and you also have your resume. I like that you have a little drawing here. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, now let's take a look at your portfolio. I love that you have your name, exactly what position you're going for, and your website. That's good. Oh, look who's been studying my portfolio video. Absolutely. Name, email, and then kind of the title of your project. Perfect. So you have your main character, you have some expressions, you have some poses, and you have turns. I think this is terrific. You have studies, and then you have another project. Lineup, okay. Okay, wonderful. And then your last page is also your name and all your information in case people forgot. First page, terrific. I love this. Let's take a look. In terms of the turnaround, I think that it's really cool to have a GIF. I think that they could take up a little bit less space and also have one of these turnarounds actually on a paper, not in GIF form. Just because if someone wants to actually see that you have the technical skills, they want to look through all of your drawings to really evaluate what it looks like. I like that you have a project with 2 characters, but you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see a lineup with more. So you have your main character, he's big, he looks like this, and then you have your villain, and she looks like this, and she, you know, her color scheme is evil, so you can tell that she's evil. She has a cape, she's green. He has the color scheme of a hero, right? Maybe there's also, you know, his damsel in distress character. Let's keep it old school. Maybe she's like a witch or a wizard and she has a completely different silhouette as well. Maybe she's also a fighter that he meets during his adventure that he unexpectedly falls in love with. Maybe he's got a steed, right? And I know, like, ooh, animals and stuff, but I think that your portfolio would really benefit from an animal drawing as well. Maybe you have the funny old man that he finds in the woods that helps guide him, and he's a wizard and he gives you this steed. Having a lineup to show in contrast with all the characters what they all look like standing next to each other, showing that they're all different shapes, and then you don't have to expand on these characters anymore. You could choose 2 of your characters, which you've done, and then expand on them, which you've done. But a lineup would really finish telling the story. Here, I love that you have expressions and a few poses. I think that you can kind of take these poses and you could push them a little bit further, or you can add more poses that are pushed. So I found some references of long swords, and already I can see some more open ways I can open the silhouette, add a little bit more perspective, add a little bit more interest in the action. So with this pose, I'm trying to have a really cool sense of direction with my sword, and a way to make it feel extra long and heavy, as if his arms are down. And you can make him feel like he has a lot of energy. And I really like this pose for a more front angle. So what I would do here, instead of having a really direct front one, I would maybe have his head in this direction and then his shoulders in the opposite direction. And maybe the perspective is more dynamic in that sense as well. So maybe something like this can add a little bit more dynamicness, and maybe, you know, the belt is moving back in perspective. There's some secondary action. Maybe his beard is swaying behind him. Any way to add a little bit more dynamicness to this pose could really help. You know, open up the silhouette, have the hand be more this direction, try to push it as much as possible. I also want to see some exploration how you got to this character. Maybe you have just a few small thumbnails, a few small silhouettes. That would be really interesting. For this character, I love that you have some exploration of her weapon. I'm kind of getting an idea of her story. Maybe she has magic. There's a little bit of smoke around her. How can you push that further and really like show that to the audience? Since this face is very similar to this face, how can we make this one even more dramatic? Maybe she's looking through her hair at an up angle and she's like had enough, like she's right about to freaking lose her goddamn mind. Maybe her shoulders are up higher. Maybe she's also crying, like losing it. How can you make all these expressions really stand out from one another? Maybe because the last character we did some character exploration, maybe for this one we're doing some clothing exploration. A couple poses where her costume is completely different. Also, take your money pose, take your money shot and make it bigger. I see that this one's a lot more rendered. Make this one bigger and then make the other one smaller. Try to fit them in the page a little bit better. You know, this knife one can go there, so then we can make more space for your best expression, and that could be a bigger one. For these pages, it's a little overwhelming because we see sketches in the background, we see a lot of writing that's really small and we can't see it. So what I would do is I'd get rid of these sketches in the background, these writings in the background, and I'd have it a lot more clear on what we're trying to look at. So I see all the same drawings from this page is also in this page, so I would just remove this page. You don't need it. You have some great explorations here. What I would do is I'd make a lot of these smaller, not overlapped against each other, just so we can see them clearly. If a lot of these expressions are similar, I would take it out. So for example, I see that this one and this one are almost the same one, but the mouth is at a different angle. I would take one of those out. I also see that this one and this one is kind of just like a flipped image with a slightly different mouth shape. I would take that out, I would take that out. You know, this is a new expression that we haven't seen before, so I'd keep that in. So I'd like to see an expression in this angle, for example. That'd be cool. Or an angle where she's facing down. Those are her eyes. That's her smile, that's her hair behind her. This is a really cool exploration phase. I'm not sure if having your sketches this size is really beneficial to this piece. You know, it would also be cool if this was your intro page or your outro page and your name was here with your email and that was your outro page, because it's a really cool illustration, especially a standalone piece. This is a really cool page. Although I would take out all of your writing and the sketches that aren't very clear. I think that this is a beautiful page on its own. You have your final piece and then you have a little bit of exploration around it. Great job. This is beautiful and I would love to see more of this. I see that you have some final frames of what the actual stop motion film looks like and you have this illustration, but what I'm more interested in is how you came up with it. I'd like to see more of these characters. Did you make expressions for them? Did you make poses for them? What is in this? Show me this. Oh, this is great. I love that you have an animal, you have characters interacting, you have your title. They're all different poses, different expressions, different angles. You know, make some characters bigger so they're not like in a lineup since they're on two different things. Like maybe some are small drawings and your more important characters are bigger drawings. But if you want to go into a more lineup direction, I would have all their feet on the same plane to really show that they're all in the same environment. Maybe you could have a line underneath, right? And then you have your outro. This design can work really well in this page. I think that we can kind of combine that. And then you can have your outro, that's right, with this page that I love so much, because I think this would be a really cool outro. So your portfolio is really strong. I think there's some things that you can take out, some things you can add, and great going. So thank you for watching. If you want to get your portfolio reviewed, you can join my Patreon if there's spots available. If there isn't, you can email me. I'll add you to the waitlist. Let me know if you want me to make more YouTube videos about these. I review portfolios all the time, and I could record it if you want. I don't know. And thanks to Tears of Themis for sponsoring this video. And remember to download the game in the description because we all need more hot anime boys in our lives. See ya.